I wanted to talk to you a bit, a sort of recap of our class yesterday. Actually, it's not so much a recap as it is a filling in of a blank that we did not discuss, but which I feel is very important in the chapter. And so I want to sort of give you a thumbnail of this discussion and then invite you to read more carefully in Griffin if you have not yet done so, and to take notes. It's a complex subject. So you and I have emphasized the fact that knowledge always has a standpoint. Yesterday I was in the fitness center trudging along on the treadmill, and I looked up at one of those ever-present infernal TV screens, and I noticed that there was an advertisement of a man. He was holding his phone in a beautiful natural situation, like an outdoors situation. He was holding his phone, smiling, a selfie, and showing the scene. And I thought, yeah, that's sort of narcissistic. That's like you can't enjoy the world without putting yourself into the middle of it with a selfie. But when I got into a little bit less judgy of a frame of mind, I realized that that man was enacting something that's kind of important in standpoint theory, and that is that there's no such thing as a knowledge of the world around us apart from a standpoint. So Griffin talks about knowledge from nowhere. Now, people who have knowledge from nowhere are not taking selfies. They're not in the middle of what they're knowing. But Griffin, and especially Harding and Wood, challenge this notion of knowledge from nowhere. Knowledge is always from somewhere. There's always a knower who is situated in the middle of what she or he is trying to know. So the selfie taker is actually emphasizing the fact that this knowledge and encounter with the world is not something I'm doing from a neutral standpoint, detached and removed from it. No, I am right in the middle of it, hence my selfie taking. All right, so we've talked a bit about the fact that knowledge always has a standpoint. We've explored whether some kinds of standpoints have more objectivity to them than others. That's what we spent most of yesterday's class discussing. I think you probably have that in hand. But there's a sort of opposite concern in this theory, and it can be a little bit confusing. It's actually in their discussion of an ethical theorist named Salah Ben Habib. And you can find this if you have the same edition of the textbook as I do on page 453. So Ben Habib wants to say, yes, knowledge from nowhere is a very bad idea. There is no such thing as knowledge from nowhere. But that doesn't mean that there isn't such a thing as a universal ethic. Can you see the contradiction in that? Or the potential contradiction in that? Or at least the tension in that? Because on the one hand, she's saying knowledge is situated, it's personal, it's located. And on the other, she's saying there is an ethic of social justice that applies everywhere, no matter what your situation, no matter who you are, no matter what your standpoint is. That's an important tension to get in Harding and Wood, and it's not one we talked about yesterday. So I encourage you to read the rather conceptually challenging discussion of Ben Habib's interactive universalism. She wants to keep two truths at play. On the one hand, knowledge is always situated. There's always a standpoint. On the other hand, there is such a thing as an ethic that is applicable everywhere. Put those things together and you get some of the challenge of Harding and Wood's standpoint theory. All right, so I wanted to encourage you to go back and take a look at that in case that wasn't making sense to you. Griffin's discussion is excellent, it's thorough, take some notes on it. It will help you as you prepare for your next test. I'm looking forward to our discussion tomorrow on muted group theory. Make sure you take the quiz on Moodle after you've read the chapter, and I look forward to doing my own laundry too, I might add.